I stood at the edge of the marina, my heart plummeting as I watched jagged chunks of polished oak drift in the water. Shredded canvas, cracked glass, and twisted brass fittings bobbed in the gentle waves, the pathetic remains of my dad's cherished yacht, the Starlet Dream Saw. For 20 years, he'd poured his soul into restoring that 38-foot beauty, and now it was nothing but wreckage. Across the dock, there she was, Evelyn Harper, arms crossed, a smug grin curling her lips. Everyone in our lakeside neighborhood knew her as the HOA president who ruled with an iron grip and a rulebook thicker than a Bible. She didn't even flinch as our eyes locked, her satisfaction practically radiating. That was 3 weeks ago. Today, the script's flipped. The bulldozer's engine roars, drowning out her shrieks as I plow it straight through the flimsy walls of the HOA office trailer. Papers flutter like confetti, desks splinter, and cheap paneling crumples onto the treads. The crunch of metal and what sends a surge of righteous fury through me. This isn't just payback, it's justice, cold and deliberate, for the legacy she obliterated. 6 months ago, my dad passed from a sudden stroke, Leah VYing me his lakefront house and the Starlet Dream Saw, a 1974 wooden yacht he'd bought as a wreck when I was a kid. I grew up sanding its deck beside him, learning the art of marine varnish and the patience of caulking seams. Those summer evenings, with the lake shimmering gold, were when he was happiest. After he died, the yacht became my lifeline to him, docked just outside our neighborhood's marina, technically beyond the HOA's reach, as our lawyer confirmed. Dad had kept it pristine, oak trim gleaming with hand-applied varnish, brass polish to a mirror shine, a custom canvas canopy stitched by a retired sailmaker. The engine, rebuilt by his own hands, purred like it was fresh off the line. The Starlet Dream Saw wasn't just a boat. It was his heart, his craft, his legacy. I took up his routine, spending weekends polishing and tinkering, each task a quiet conversation with him. I even added touches of my own vintage compass he'd always wanted, new lights that kept the retro VYB he loved. But then Evelyn Harper entered the picture. I'd heard of her, the HOA dictator who'd terrorized our community for years. Dad had mentioned her hatred for the yacht, but since it was outside her jurisdiction, he'd brushed her off. My first run-in with her came one Sunday while I was waxing the hull, sipping coffee on the dock. A shadow loomed, and there she stood, 50s designer sundress, blonde hair in a perfect bob. "I'm Evelyn Harper," she said, offering a manicured hand I barely shook. Her eyes raked over the yacht with thinly veiled disgust. "Your father was. Attached to this, wasn't he?" "Still am," I shot back, keeping it short. She launched into a lecture about community standards and how the yacht's VY-stability from lakeside homes was a problem. I told her the marina wasn't HOA property and the boat was staying. Her smile tightened as she patted my arm like I was a clueless kid. "Rules change, Mr. Carter. Progress happens." The next day, a pink violation notice appeared on my windshield. Saw unauthorized vessel VY Cybele from community property. "Fine, do lot 250. "Sal?" I called the HOA office, and Evelyn answered, her voice dripping with condescension. "That eyesore's been a problem for years, Mr. Carter. Move it, sell it, or pay up." I reiterated the marina's status, but she sighed like I was dense. "It's not where it's docketed, it's that people can seesaw it, lowering property values." My lawyer sent a letter confirming her lack of authority, but the notices kept coming. Do Law 500, then Do Law 1000, each citing absurd violations like environmental hazard or improper maintenance. HOA workers snapped photos of the yacht, one admitting Evelyn had called it a floating junk heap for years. Neighbors whispered, avoiding me or offering pitying glances. Evelyn's reputation was ironclad across her, and your trash went uncollected, or you'd get fined for grass a half-inch too tall. Some had been forced to sell their homes under her relentless fines. Her campaign grew VY-size. Anonymous notes stuffed in my mailbox claimed the yacht attracted undesirables. A security camera caught Evelyn herself slipping one in, gloved and sneaky. I tried rallying the HOA board, but the VYC president, Paul Grayson, just shrugged over coffee. Evelyn runs everything budget, meetings, even nominations. The last guy who opposed her got an IRS audit. Coincidence? Nobody's risking it. One night, I woke to noises on the dock and caught Evelyn and a stranger inspecting the yacht's moorings at 2 a.m. Checking safety violations, she called, hurrying off. Then the marina manager warned me someone from the HOA had filed papers claiming the Saw Starlet Dream Saw was abandoned, set for removal. I stayed aboard that night, lulled by the boat's gentle sway, photos of Dad around me. A diesel engine's roar jolted me awake at dawn. Men in hard hats swarmed the deck as a crane tore into the yacht's port side. I shouted, grabbing a worker who showed me a demolition order, stamped and signed. "Abandoned vessel," he said, confused. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, water flooded the cabins, and Dad's hand-carved railings were trash in a dumpster. The cop shrugged. "Looks authorized. Take it up with the county." As I stood, gutted, a silver BMW rolled up. Evelyn stepped out, snapping photos, her heels clicking as she sauntered over. "Such a shame," she said, voice thick with fake pity. "Abandoned boats are hazards. The HOA's protecting our lakefront." I snapped. "This wasn't abandoned, and you know it." She waved me off. As president, I addressed community concerns. 14 residents called it an eyesore. "It's all documented for the newsletter." She strutted away, Leah VYing me amid the wreckage. Then a hand touched my shoulder. George Miller, an older neighbor, held up his phone. I recorded her gloating. "This ain't right, and it ain't legal." A former HOA board member, he'd been ousted by Evelyn years ago. "That demolition order's likely fake. Using HOA funds for personal grudges is against the bylaws. I've got a VY Denke of her scams." His words lit a fire in me. George showed me financial records. Dulot 10,000 from the HOA, reserve funneled to emergency remediation, paid to the demolition company. Forged signatures and backdated minutes proved Evelyn's fraud. She'd even bribed a county inspector's wife with a Dulot 20,000 HOA-funded office renovation. Neighbors joined us, sharing their own horrors. Lisa Bennett's heirloom garden destroyed. The Wilsons fined over a legal basketball hoop. Mark Tate threatened for state-approved solar panels. George called it a felony. The yacht was worth due law $150,000. We built a case. My lawyer called it systematic abuse, embezzlement, fraud, and vandalism. We filed a CIVYL suit quietly, freezing HOA funds, and contacted state investigators to bypass Evelyn's county cronies. But I wanted more than courtrooms. I wanted her to feel my loss. George tipped me off that the HOA office, Evelyn's fortress, was a temporary trailer, unpermitted for long-term use and riddled with code violations. I filed for its removal, citing safety risks. The county inspector, fed up with Evelyn's pull, documented shoddy wiring and illegal additions. Approval came fast, thanks to a sympathetic clerk who'd suffered under Evelyn. I posted the notice on the HOA's obscure bulletin board, her own oversight. I rented a bulldozer from a neighbor who grinned when I share my plan. Hit the filing cabinets. She keeps her dirt there. At 4 p.m., as the HOA meeting ended, I drove a machine down the main street, neighbors gawking, some cheering. A crowd gathered with lawn chairs, like it was a festival. Evelyn emerged, portfolio in hand, and froze when she saw me. Her polished mask cracked. "What is this?" she shrieked. I held up the permit. "County business, Evelyn. This trailer's unsafe and coming down." She screamed about records and community history, but I gave her 2 minutes to grab personal items. Board members scrambled. Evelyn stood defiant until Paul dragged her aside. I rammed the bulldozer forward, shattering her cherrywood desk, leather chairs, and pretentious window. 3 passes left nothing but rubble. Police sirens wailed Evelyn's doing. I stepped down, permit ready. The officer EU'd it and shrugged. "It's legal." Notice was posted. Evelyn's face twisted. I would have been notified. The crowd smirked. Nobody checked her neglected bulletin board. Neighbors stepped forward, telling cops about the yacht, Evelyn's fraud, and years of tyranny. A black sedan pulled up, and 2 officials served Evelyn with a lawsuit for property destruction, fraud, and more. A detective from the Financial Crimes Unit questioned her about the demolition payment. She went pale, clutching the papers, and followed him to the station, her confident stride gone. The HOA meeting that week was packed. Evelyn was ousted, and we rewrote the bylaws. No expenditure overdue, Law 1000 without a vote. George led an audit, uncovering 7 years of Evelyn's theft, due Law 300,000 siphoned for vacations, landscaping, and office upgrades. She'd kept an enemies list, targeting dissenters with private details. Dad's name topped it, marked Watch Son after his death. The lawsuit settled fast, funding a new yacht, the Saw Harper Wrecker Saw. I worked with Dad's old friend, a boat builder, using salvaged pieces of ship's wheel, a deck railing plus a compass engraved with Dad's motto. Not all who wander are lost. Neighbors pitched in, sewing cushions, donating a barometer. The build became a community rite, healing old wounds. Evelyn vanished. Her house sold quietly. The HOA became a true resource, with term limits and transparency. The marina turned into a community hub, kids learning to sail on the Saw Harper Wrecker Saw. I started a woodworking business, helping neighbors with projects Evelyn would have banned. A salvaged oak plank hangs in my shop, a reminder that sometimes you've got to tear it all down to build something better. Every weekend, I sail the Saw Harper Wrecker Saw, watching the sunset where Dad found his peace in a neighborhood finally free. So what do you think? Was I right to bulldoze Evelyn's office? Or did I go too far? Should I have stuck to the courts? Or was this poetic justice? And what about the neighbors? Were they complicit for staying silent so long? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you felt the rush, and subscribe for more stories where the underdog bites back. Let's get this debate roaring.